Hello everyone. I am excited to share some important update regarding our OurSys. We continually strive to enhance the system based on your feedback, ensuring it to become more efficient and user friendly and align with your business. So, with this latest version update, we have introduced several improvement and new feature designed to streamline your operation, boost your productivity, and improve all the capabilities. From enhancement that will make your workflow some other, stay tuned as we walk through the key highlight of this update and how they can benefit you. So, to begin with the seals, inspection call registration is now enhanced. So previously, when user need to add some additional extra note for certain line item in the inspection call, there was no provision to record this. Now, OurSys added a new field where you can add additional notes regarding the inspection call for the line item. So let us understand with the help of the image. So here you can see in the sales module, we have a link called inspection call. Here now we have introduced an additional field of remark where you can add some additional information regarding the inspection call, as well as at the item level we have also given an additional field of lot number where you can update the lot detail. Now these records are also shown in the inspection call printout. Moving ahead with the next point, grouping of purchase order term. So, in some cases, user might to organize purchase order term into different category or group. Let us understand with an help of an example. Terms could be grouped under a label like delivery, payment, quality. So before, all these terms were simply grouped under one label called purchase terms and condition. So in this version, user can now create a group of these purchase terms with different term placed under each group. So this will help user to make the term in the purchase order more organized and clear to understand by clearly separating them into their specific categories. So let us understand with the help of the images. So here you can see in the masters, we have given a separate link called purchase term label group. Now here you can simply create your groups, and while making the purchase label, you can simply define these grouping in your standard purchase term label. Now while making the purchase order, when we go to the purchase term, here you can see you can simply select the purchase grouping, and under that grouping all the label that you have tagged will come here. So it will make users to easily select those terms in their purchase order. Moving ahead with the next update, provision to do approval of ASN. So in OurSys, we have a feature called advance shipment notice, which lets supplier create a shipment notice for the material which they are planning to send using the OurSys. Now, before, OurSys didn't have any approval system. However, in some cases, there was a approval required by you before the supplier can ship the material. To tackle this, OurSys now has an approval feature at the advance shipment notice, making sure that supplier gets notification in OurSys and can only ship the material after getting approval from you. So yes, we can see I have logged in into a supplier's login. Here, supplier will be able to create their advance shipment notice. All the purchase detail will directly come, and supplier has to send submit this advance shipment notice from approval. Now, at the ASN pending for approval, when the supplier is going to ship the material, he or she will see whether the advance shipment notice has been approved by you or not. So once the ASN is approved, then your supplier can be ensured कि okay, I have to send the material or I have to ship the material. Supplier performance report enhanced by considering material received date instead of GRN date. So in our OurSys GRN processes, there is an option to record the actual material received date, which might be different from the date of the GRN when GRN is created. Now, if we go to the supplier performance report, it is judged by based on the goods receipt note date for timely delivery. It could result into incorrect evaluation. So, to address this issue, now OurSys uses the actual material received date record in the goods receipt note to calculate the timely delivery performance in the supplier performance report, making it more accurate. So here, with the help of the image, we can see that in the receiving we have a delivery date. While making a goods receipt note, we system by default select the generation date as a GRN date, but it has a provision to select the actual material receiving date. So here you can update the date on which actual material has arrived at your factory premises. Now, when you go to the supplier performance report, system will check the actual material received date with your schedule date, making it more accurate in your in-time delivery performance. Restriction on changing the schedule in purchase order once the GRN is made. In the past, Oversys allowed user to change the schedule date from for the certain item in the purchase order even after the GRN was created. So this caused the supplier performance report to be less accurate. Now, OurSyn doesn't allow to change the schedule date in the purchase order after the goods receipt note for the item has been completed. This helps the supplier performance report more accurate. Now, if I go to the purchase order report and go to the manage schedule, here you can see I am able to change the schedule date when the material has not been received. Now, here the GRN has been made. Here you can see I am not able to select the date in the managed schedule once I have received the material. So this will make our supplier performance report more accurate if purchase budgeting enhanced. So OurSys has a purchase budgeting feature that ensures that purchase order are still being drafted are not included in your budget calculation when creating a new purchase order. So now OurSys ignores the value of the purchase order in the budget when creating a new purchase order unless the existing one has already been finalized. So here you can see in the masters we have a report called purchase budget head and purchase budget amount configuration. Here we can update our purchase heads and we can set the purchase budget with the start date and end date as a reference. Once we go to the purchase order, Here we can see we have a selection of our purchase budget. So previously I have drafted one purchase order which was under drafting. Now if I make a new purchase order selecting the same head, the available amount won't get updated unless our previous purchase order gets approved. Now I have generated this purchase order, and if I see my purchase budget, now it has been updated as 0. So until and unless my purchase order are generated, system will update the purchase budget head. Provision to prepare the item inspection parameter set template. Now for some item, they need same set of inspection parameter. Before each item has to be given its parameter one by one, which was very time consuming, especially when there were many parameters to set up in the item inspection master. So now OurSys let user to create a template for inspection parameter. These template can automatically fill in all the predefined parameter. So user only have to add some extra information. This makes setting up the item inspection parameter much faster than before. So here you can see in the master we have now added a link called item inspection parameter set, where a template can be created where all the default parameter can be set. While making the item inspection parameter, user will have to only simply select the parameter group, and all the information that we have updated into the template will get automatically pre-filled. So here you can see all the data has been pre-filled from our template. So user has to only updated few information like upper limit, lower limit and specifications, and the inspection parameter will get registered. Moving to the next attribute feature in instrument master. So previously there was no field for user to define in the instrument master before, but now there are some extra field that user need to fill in the master. To tackle that, we have now included some additional extra field that weren't available in the instrument master previously. We have added an option to create your customized field within the instrument master. So in the master, we have now given a provision of instrument attribute, where users can define their attributes, where we have given option to add a text box field, a date field, a drop down, multiple selected drop down and a numeric text box. Once these attributes are created, system will automatically will show you these attribute in your instrument master. So here you can see I am at the instrument master creation screen, and the attribute that I have created is now available for me to add and update some additional information. Attribute feature in the gauge master. So similar to our previous instrument master attribute feature, the similar provision has now been added into our gauge master. Here also there was no additional field to save the information. We have also given an additional attribute feature in our gauge master. So here you can see we can update our attribute in this master, and while creating a gauge into the system, it will bring the attribute that we have created to store additional information. Final inspection report enhanced. A new column showing the percentage of rejection has been added to the final inspection report, making it more easy to see the exact rejection rate. So in the final inspection report, we have now given an additional field called rejection percentage. An additional column will come into your report. Here you can see the actual rejection percentage while reviewing this report. Moving to the next, new report, material issue report with the value. So we have now introduced a new report where it lets user to see the material issue detail report based on the value. So under the production, there is a new report called material issue report with value. Here, the actual material rate comes for the material rate that we have issued comes here. Moving to the next item, process wise drawing uploading provision is made. So before, the item master only created one drawing file to be attached. But in some scenario, there were multiple drawing field that were needed for each machining process. It's important to have access to the right drawing field during the production. So now OurSys allows user to upload drawings for the specific processes in the process layout. So these drawing can be accessed through the job order history report, making it more visibility and support during the production processes. So here, with the help of image, let us understand this process, this feature in the item process layout. Here, if we go into the process detail, here we have given provision to upload the drawing file against the manufacturing processes. Now, if we go to the job order history and click on the manufacturing processes hyperlink, here we have given an hyperlink. If you click on this hyperlink, system will redirect you to the file that we have uploaded. Moving to the next, jigs and fixture register is now available. So factory uses many jigs and fixtures for production. Before there was no specific register or a master record to keep a track of these calibration history. So OurSys now offers an option to create a jig and fixture register and keep track of their calibration history. So under a master we have a master called jigs and fixtures. So here in the same master, we have now given provision to update the calibration required frequency. Here you can set the frequency. And in the quality module, system also gives you a provision to record their calibration history. Here all the history related like certificate, who calibrated this, the supply detail, due date can be updated over this card. Attribute feature in material request node. So there were no user defined field into our material request node feature. So it was so if anyone wanted to put some additional information in the material request node on why they are requesting some material, so it was difficult to store that information. Now we have given provision to add additional field in your material request node where users can update or store important information related to that request. So here in the master we can see we have a now new link called material request node attribute. Here we can create our own additional fields. It would be a text box, date, drop down, multiple drop down or a numeric text box. These fields can be added. And while making material request note, these attribute will come. The additional field that you have created will come where we can store our information. Old MRN short closing option in bulk introduce. So, in some cases, user created material request node that stay open even when the material are no longer needed. So before, user has to close these MRN individually, which was a time consuming process. Now we have introduced a provision where user can close multiple MRN at once, saving their time and efforts. So here we can see under the production we have a link called stale material request node, where all the material request node that have been pending for more than specific days will automatically come here. All your old MRN will come, and in single click we can short close these old MRNs which are not required. New report introduce job wise issue slash written report. So material issued to job order are often written from different reasons. Before, it was hard to track why this material was written properly. To tackle this, OurSys has now added a new report that lets user easily track material issue and written from each job order. So here we can see under the production, we have now introduced a new report called job order wise issued slash written report, where you can see the material which has been written from any job comes directly here, and clicking on this hyperlink will give you the exact reason. Updating invoice information option has been enhanced. So OurSys now makes it easier to update multiple invoices at once from a single screen. Before, user has to open and update each invoices one by one. Now user can easily modify invoice detail from multiple invoices in one go, saving their time. So here we can see in the invoice module there is a link called update invoice information. Here we can select transport detail flag and show attribute. Here we can update the additional information regarding that invoices in one go. So multiple invoices information can be update, and user can simply in one click save this information in the individual invoices. Invoice print for IRN enhanced. So, in the invoice reference number that is IRN is not generated, it will now be clearly highlighted when printing the invoice. So, this makes it easier for the user to notice that the missing IRN before sending the invoice to the customer, helping them avoid the error. So, in our I invoice GST invoice print system will highlight them with if the IRN number has not been generated. So here you can see in the print it will clearly show that IRN has not been generated, helping the user to generate the IRN before sending the material. Digital signature for invoice is now enhanced. So if the So previously in OurSys, user could only add digital signature to invoices one by one. This was very time consuming task, and they have had uh, to sign multiple invoices. In that case, it was very difficult for user to take all the print. So now OurSys has given provision to digitally sign multiple print at a single go. This will make the processes of the person who is making the invoice most faster and more convenient, as they don't have to sign each invoices individually. Dashboard for post dated check is now introduced. So sometimes businesses issue post-dated check to supplier or receive them from customer. These checks are dated for a future date, meaning they cannot be cashed immediately. So in overseas, tracking these post-dated check-in report can take a lot of time because there's no direct way to filter them. User had to manually search through vouchers to find the one with the future date, making it harder to manage and keep a track of the payment effectively. So, OurSys now has a special dashboard just for these post-dated check voucher. This makes it easier for user to find and manage these voucher quickly without having to search through other financial report in the system. So here we can see we have a dashboard called pending post-dated check, and if you click on that number, system will redirect you to the specific vouchers where you have posted the post dated check. Provision to make bank reco through excel import. Now this is one of the most beautiful feature that we have developed in this version. So earlier, overseas user had to match bank transaction manually, checking and reconciling each one individually, which took a lot of time to make this process faster and easier. Many users requested to add a feature to import a bank statement directly from the Excel file. So, OurSys can automatically match the transaction from these imported file, saving their time and effort. Now, we have just introduced a provision where user can upload the Excel file to match their bank transaction with the company record. This makes the bank reconciliation more faster, easier by reducing manual data entry and errors. So, in the accounts module, we have a link called bank reconciliation. Here, we have given provision to import through Excel file, where you have to first update the settings where the fields are in your Excel file, like your value date cell, credit amount, debit amount, check number. So we have to update this into our master one time, and system will automatically check the cell detail from our Excel file. Moving to the next provision, loan disbursement feature is now enhanced. So earlier, when calculating salary, ours is automatically deducted the EMIs that are repayment starting with the first loan an employee received. But there was no option to choose the loan, but there was no provision to select the loans if employee has taken multiple loans. To tackle that, Oversys now allows the HR to handle the loan from individual loan separately while computing the salary. This means that instead of deducting all loan repayment together, user can choose which loan to settle each time. This gives employee more flexibility in managing their loan repayment according to their needs. So in the loan disbursement, in the HR module, there is a link called loan disbursement where against one employee, I have added multiple loans. And while computing salary, here you can see on the deduction side, we have a head called loan, and here we have given the provision of settlement, where HR can simply select the the voucher from which the loan need to be deducted. Now we come to the project module. Project activity start or end date, change reason. So sometimes the start date or end date of the planned activity need to be changed. In overseas, user can now record the reason for these changes. So this will help to keep a track of why the scheduled activity was modified and ensuring better planning and accountability. So ours is now let user create a list of common reason for the changing activity dates in the project plan. So whenever someone changes the start date or the end date of a planned activity, they have to select the reason from that list. So this will keep a track of why the changes were made, ensuring the better accountability. So here we can see in the project plan, if I change any start date or end date, I have to update the reason for which I'm changing the date. And this will also be kept as a record into our reports. Taxation module. Cost of additional expenses turn on a particular line item from a sales order tagging option to the supplier invoice. So sometimes businesses need to assign extra cost to a specific item in sales order. For example, if they hire a third party inspector to check a item before shipping, the inspection cost should be linked to that particular line item. This ensures that when they calculate profit, all the related expenses are considered, giving them an accurate profit report. So OurSys now allows user to link a supplier invoice directly to a specific line item in the sales order. This will ensure that the cost of that item is correctly recorded and reflected into the sales order profit report. Within this report, user can track expenses more accurately, helping them see the true profitability of each line item in the sales order. So here in the taxation module, we have a link called sales order item wise additional expenses, where additional expenses against the line item can be tagged. Here you can see against this line item, I have tagged some expenses. And when I check my sales order gross profit report, here we have given a flag to consider those additional expenses. Now, if we check our profit report, system will also consider that additional expenses that went for that particular line item, giving us the more accurate profit report. Supplier invoice registration is now enhanced. So earlier in OurSys, once a goods receipt note was linked to a supplier invoices, it couldn't be used again for another invoice. This caused a problem. When the full quantity of a GRN wasn't invoiced, there was no way to use the remaining quantity for a new supplier invoice. To resolve this problem, OurSys now checks the quantity from the goods receipt note. So when registering a supplier invoicing, if the full quantity from the GRN has not yet been invoiced, the same GRN can be linked to multiple invoices until the entire quantity is billed. So this ensures that all the received good are properly accounted in the supplier invoicing. So here we can see we have made a goods receipt note for item for 100 quantity. Now in the supplier invoicing, we are going to register the supplier bill. Here I have also tagged the same GRN and made a GRN for a less quantity. Let's say a 50 quantity, where earlier we have made the GRN for 100 quantity. Now once again, if I book invoice for the same supplier, system will show me the same GRN of 17 number, where the material is still pending to settle with our GRN quantity. So this is how multiple invoices can be tagged if the with multiple invoices. Now let's come to the master module. Changes made in item price list is now been recorded. So earlier, when user update the item price list, there was no way to track who made the changes or when they were made. This meant that if the prices were modified, user has no record of the person responsible or the date and the time of the update. To resolve that, OurSys now keeps a record of all the changes made to the item price in the price list. This means whenever someone updates a price, system will automatically post a comment into that price list. So this will help user to keep a track record of who modified and when the actual modification has been done. So here in the item price list, if we made any changes, system will automatically post the comment of the changes made by the user with a timestamp. Speed improvement of the following. So here are the few reports where we have made some improvement. Now this report quickly opens. Export to Excel search criteria is embedded in Excel. So previously, when user downloaded the Excel file from any report, there was no provision to check what was the search criteria for that Excel file report. So to resolve that issue in the Excel file that has been downloaded, we have introduced a new sheet where system shows you the actual search criteria that was used to generate that report. So here you can see in the sales order detail report, I have searched some criteria, and if I download that specific report and if I open that report, system will give me the actual search criteria that went under that. GSTR1 and GSTR2 is available in different sheet when it is exported to Excel. So previously, when we download the GSTR1 and GSTR report, all the detail like B2B, B2C, HSNY summary used to come into a single sheet. In this version, we have made a separate sheet for each individual B2B supplies, export invoices, HSNY summary headings. So here I am exporting an Excel file, and here you can see in the downloaded Excel file we have now segregated all the headings. Thank you everyone.